That's always good to hear. Okay, this is Brent Raynes for a second recent interview with Dan Chaney from Decatur, Alabama. It's Sunday, August the 24th, 2025, and we're going to hit it again here and drill down on these strange experiences. Last time we were talking, we were discussing what Dan mentioned about talking about the kind of like the portal things, like a window appearing or something into another dimension. So I think that's where we're going to start at, right, Dan?
Okay, all right, I'll give it my best.
All right. So I know we talked about one time you saw like a horizontal dark line and then it rose up into a small black square, like it was maybe you were viewing something in a darkened area of another dimension. Um,
Yeah, that was here. That was only probably not even just a few years ago, maybe not even that long.
okay.
Yeah, like if I guess if you had like a midget walk through or something, or something small. It
Could
was
you
really
see any?
small. It was about like that. It was all. Yeah,
Okay. Could you see any details at all, or was it just like darkness? Just
complete blackness. Just like the first portal, I guess, that I saw in Chicago in the 70s when the beam had lunged through. It was, I guess, whatever the environment was complete blackness. So it was the same here.
oh, okay. And so in that one, the being came through and completely through, or just partially through.
No, I could only see it from the waist up because it was like it was in a window or something, a portal.
Hmm.
And it was, I guess if it would be like if you could equate it to reaching through a car window, at waist level and stuff.
Yeah.
You're
Okay. And that
limited there.
was that
So
was inside a apartment there, Chicago,
yeah, yeah. hmm
back in the 70s.
Back in the 70s. And that was the first time I saw the creature, and then I saw it again later, but it was on the ground running, and that's when I told you it looked like someone had looked like the being itself had been in a fire, like a fire surviving victim,
Uh-huh.
because its skin was from head to toe was really all messed up like a burn victim, and
Oh,
uh, and it ran like really really fast to where it was blurry. I mean that's how fast it ran, and it used its arms and stuff like a primate, and it got right up to me. So I don't, but in both those experiences, especially like the first time when the thing lunged at me, it tried to grab me is what it was. So it was within inches of grabbing my shoulder, and I screamed, I jumped up screaming, ah, and ran into the bedroom. And then the second encounter, when I was compelled to get out of bed because of this sound I kept hearing. It sounded like first I thought it was the like the recliner that was going back and forth, makes some type of a squeaking type sound. But whatever the sound was, I couldn't resist it. And so I woke up, got out of bed, went to the hallway,
hmm.
and looked through. I went to the edge of the hallway into the living room and looked, and I saw the recliner. But it wasn't moving, so it couldn't be the recliner. And the source of the sound was coming from the kitchen, and that's where my attention was drawn. And when I looked, that's when the creature rushed out at me, like again, like super high speed, like fast forward, and it got right up to me. So where my confusion is at both times, how did I get from where it was back to where I was? There's a blank missing there.
Yeah. Okay. And you've had some other portal type experiences besides those, or just
Yes, I was walking with a friend of mine here in Decatur on Central Park where we just left his house. We were going to walk to the mall, and which was miles away. And like, I don't think we even got maybe just out of his house across the street. And he was yakking. And he goes, "Oh, look." And I looked, and there was like a neon green, um, swirly portal, whatever you want to call it, portal, big wheel type thing. Uh,
kind of whirling?
Whirling, yes, that's exactly what it was. And it was just going round and round. And the points were down this way. And because sometimes I know that we've seen videos lately of portals and stuff, and people think it might be SpaceX or something. Uh, where the points of the swirly things up this way, but this was down this way, and it was going round and round and round.
When
And we
clockwise,
kind of,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yes, and we kind of got transfixed on it. And about right at that time came a car around the corner, honk, and it was an old friend of his, so it kind of snapped us out of it. And he's like, "Hey, where y'all going? Yeah, we're gonna walk to the mall and stuff. And you want to ride? Sure." And then the car said, "Hey, did you see that thing in the sound?" No, I didn't see it. He didn't see it. So now that was before I moved to Georgia, which would have been in the mid '90s, and I had been going out at when I lived in this trailer park. At the edge of the trailer park was a wooded area, and this is just probably not even 2, 3 miles or less out of Fort Gordon, there in Augusta, Georgia. So I would go out to the woods a lot just to walk around, just hey, taking a walk in the woods and stuff. And off to the left, I'd always see this big mound off there and thinking, and it looked out of place because everything else was flat, level. So I had gone up to it. You had to kind of weave your way to it, and it looked like I don't have the correct word for this, but like something had risen out of the ground. And in the front of it, the front part of it reminded me of that Devil's Tower in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where it looked like it was, somebody took a rake or something and scratched it all
Yeah.
down.
Hmm.
So the front part of this thing was like that. And I eventually went around and got on top of it, walked on top of it, and there was a big, complete circle of no vegetation. It looked like it had been swept clean. I mean, like a perfect circle up there. No trees and no nothing on top of this mound. And I had told my girlfriend about it because she was Wiccan and stuff, and we talked about it, and she said it was a fairy mound. And I had read stuff like that, but I didn't believe any of that at all. I really didn't. And there was a time where I wanted to start meditating in the woods and wanted to think of a place to go. And I thought, well, why don't I try that mound, that place out there? If it's a fairy mound, that would be interesting or something. And I had started going to this ditch that was outside of the that whole wooded area to pick up big granite rocks and threw them in a duffel bag. And I had made several trips to basically to make a medicine wheel, a circle on top of that mound.
Hmm.
And it took about 3 trips. And so I had gone, that was my place to go out there just to diffuse, to meditate and calm down, to de-stress. I wasn't thinking about contact experiences at all. Nothing like that. I wanted to just, oh man, because I was having a rough relationship with her. So I wanted to get away and calm down from all that. And I think I was just sitting down, just, doing my neck, whatever. And suddenly there was this flash of light off to my left. When I looked, it was a point of light and it opened up like a big window, very brilliant white light. And in the center of this was a unicorn, something I didn't believe in then. I guess I have to now, but I'm like, because I don't read fantasy and stuff like that. It didn't interest me, and I'm thinking, I'm taken aback about this. I'm like, I'm kind of doing this and like, and it's still there, and it's just looking and looking, and I'm getting all these, I hate to use these cliches, but these loving waves of energy, just waves and waves, very positive, very loving.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think about this. And then I get a telepathic message from this being, this creature, this unicorn. It says, "Be true to yourself." And then the window closes up. And so I'm like, well, what the hell just happened? I don't know, man. I don't know what has happened.
So
Now that was
this wasn't like a dream because your eyes are open
no, brother. I
and
mean, no, I
and
mean it's broad daylight. I mean, I go up deliberately,
yeah.
intentionally go out there, sit down just to meditate. No, this is clear. Now that was the first time. Second time, same exact spot, same place. I sit down to meditate again, and I don't have any intentions, whatever you want to call it, to contact with anything, whatever. I want to just meditate
Yeah.
and, and diffuse. Again, point of light opens up, and there is a Nordic blonde looking being that looked like he was right out of a run fair. He had a cloak on, kind of a tan colored brown cloak, blonde, wavy hair like down to here. First of all, first I couldn't tell if it was female or male because he was like androgynous, you know,
Uh-huh.
really good looking, blonde, blue eyes, but he had a real stern look on his face. I mean, his brow was like this, and he was looking at me like he was looking at me. I got the impression that I had like fucked up, and I'm on somebody's private property I shouldn't be on. He was looking at me really hard, and I was like, "Oh, I don't, I don't know what to expect. What's going to happen here, and stuff." And and his eyes made a very slight motion up and down, looking me up and down, and then the window closed, whoosh, and that was it.
Well,
So that was that.
so how tall was this mound? I mean, how high was it?
I would say it was about my height because you could put a normal sized doorway into it if you wanted to. So what? No, no, I mean bigger than me. Whatever a normal size doorway is. Uh,
Well,
tall
I mean,
enough,
yeah, I mean,
tall enough for a
how
person to
high
walk.
the mound was that you were on?
Uh,
About
gosh, 7 foot high, maybe.
okay,
Yeah,
peripherally circular on the top.
completely.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, good place to make a medicine wheel or something like that. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, see, I had previously done medicine wheel with my girlfriend on her property. We had simply made a medicine wheel of granite rocks and stuff, and would meditate and stuff, and sometimes do rituals and stuff. Sometimes we would set up the tent and do what was called a sunrise ritual. Supposed to be, it was a Native American thing, right at dawn and stuff. And you put your hand like this in a triangular shape and watch the sunrise come through. It's supposed to hit your third eye and stuff, and it was like an energetic thing. So I kind of wanted to experience some of the same meditation type things out in the woods there. Uh, and that was my intention. It was my intention to interact with beings,
Yeah. And I think we talked about the same person another time when she had an encounter going home and something startling happened, and might have affected your relationship at the time. A being that
That was, yes, that was not so much an ex-girlfriend, but kind of like my first girlfriend. And I had opened up to about all these experiences and stuff. And we would talk long into the night and stuff, drink a lot of beer, watch movies, stuff, eat pizza, whatever. First kind of relationship thing. And she was very, very critical, didn't believe me at all, was very critical of
oh,
it. And so she had an encounter. She had a couple of different encounters uh, that she was angry towards me about. I wasn't there, I had nothing to do with that. Yeah. So she had gotten home. She had a habit of like leaving 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm still passed out and riding from Decatur to Hartselle. And she had got home, and in there, they had a bench, like a bench that you would sit on, put your shoes on and stuff in the hallway as soon as you get into the house.
yeah.
And she got in there and saw that there was a watcher type being, a large-headed gray being sitting there. And again, because we had been drinking, right? So she's second guessing this, doubting this, and walks past it and stuff, and gets past it, stops, turns around and it turns and looks at her. And then it seemed like she blacked out because she didn't have any more memory after that. So, but at some point she called me up and blah 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 blah. She's mad about it. You made me see one of those things. I'm like, I wasn't there, man. I had nothing to do with that. I was home sleeping it off. So
Yeah. Wow.
that's a different woman. That's not the lady I live with in Georgia.
Right, right. She wasn't into those kind of stories. Okay. That's interesting. So I guess the portals that's the last one, right? Or
Well, I think one, two, three for the state: Chicago, Alabama, Georgia twice. So that would be four experience of that. But that's not the last experience I had in those woods. It was not another portal experience. It was at its same meditation spot on top of the mound. I sat out there and I took my bandana off, my shirt off, and again, I just wanted to calm down, diffuse from the stressful relationship I was having. And behind me, out to my left shoulder, I heard a female voice said, "Hello." And I thought, "Oh, wait, I didn't know anybody was out here, right?" So I jumped up, put my shirt on and stuff. "Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't know anybody was here." And there, I said, "Hello," no answer, no answer. So I get up and walk in the direction of the voice. I mean, it was audible. I mean, clear, audible. And
Yeah,
there's nobody there, nobody there. But it was a welcoming female voice, which startled me because I didn't know anybody was there. So that
yeah.
would be the last experience in those woods. That I didn't go back in there anymore.
Augusta, Georgia. Okay,
Augusta, Georgia, Hefzibah, actually, Hefzibah, Augusta, Georgia. Yeah.
okay. Interesting. And okay, whether I know when you moved to first moved to Alabama with your family, uh, there was something that happened. I guess it was the trailer home that you guys had first moved to, and something appeared. I think in a back bedroom, and you
Yeah.
saw it,
Yeah.
and that was pretty weird.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's broad daylight. The trailer's full of people because we just moved in. So, we're trying to get settled, and there's activity going on and stuff. And I'm sitting on an ottoman next to my cousin Carter. We call him Monkey. That was his nickname. And we're all watching TV. And this still makes me very uncomfortable because a force had taken a hold of my head and turned me this way. And it was like a magnetic feeling force that I could not resist. And when it did that, I have a direct line down the hallway to the back bedroom. It's just a hallway bedroom, and I see this large-headed gray type being. It pours itself through the window, but it takes the shape of a ball, and it rolls across the bed out of my line of sight, and you hear a thump like it hits the floor. And when that happened, my cousin, what? He goes, "What the blink was that?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "Somebody came in the window." So I was kind of I was all shook up by it, really shook up by it because I saw what I want to say was a person, but it wasn't a human being come through the window. And I could not be, it was hard for me to get a hold of myself in that one. But he heard it too, but he didn't see it because of the line of sight.
Yeah,
And then, as the evening is trying to wind down, people are leaving and stuff and whatever, and it's getting to the point where, okay, well, it's time for us to settle down and go to the bedroom. And I wouldn't go. I was living. No, I was like, somebody back or somebody back. Oh, no, 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 no. And my cousin lived directly across from us in the same trailer park. She went over and got a baseball bat and came back, and she started going down the hallway. Hey, who blanks back here? Who's back here? Because you could not convince me that I did not see a person come through the window back there at all. And of course, you get back there, there's nobody there and stuff. Now, in that trailer, that was when I started having these major nosebleeds, which would happen overnight. Wake up, the pillow is full of blood and stuff, but with no memory how it happened. And then I have another memory of being in bed, abruptly awake. At the foot of the bed is three or four stocky, short, large-headed gray beans. And I don't know what these things are at all whatsoever. And it's one of those moments where I'm like, I'm scared. I'm like, so I just get under the covers,
yeah.
black out. Yeah. So this is Fort Alabama, 1978.
Now, when this being came through the window, it was like it was just pouring itself out of the window, and it
Yeah.
was it was a humanoid form, but yet it
Yeah.
took like rolled up into a ball, right?
It did. And see, and like the lady I was telling you about that was very critical of me and stuff, what am I supposed to believe about aliens rolling around on the bed? And I didn't know how to, defend myself because it sounds like bullshit. It wasn't until I read about Hopkins witnessed the what was her name? Dina Paulo lady, the Italian lady she was like 13 stories high, and it was witnessed, over the Brooklyn Bridge and stuff.
Yeah,
Well, the beings rolled themselves into a ball, including herself, and they rolled out the window. Because I had never read any of that before until I read that. because again, I doubted myself too. I doubted like, well, maybe I just made this up. But then, it's about Hopkins thing. I was like, man,
I,
I didn't
it,
want
re-
that to be real.
it reminds me of, I'm trying to remember the details. I have
Linda
quoted
did.
it. It was Merging Dimensions with Tom Dongo and Linda Bradshaw of the Bradshaw Ranch out near Sedona, Arizona, years ago. She had a son who, I'm not sure, something happened. He looked out the um, window of the house, and this being kind of rolled up into a ball,
Mhm.
and I think became a ball of light. Um, have to look up the story again to be sure of all, but they had seen these different balls of light, and it kind of occurred to them, I guess, that that was
Yeah,
beings. The balls of light were actually,
yeah,
the beings. But
yeah. In
yeah,
1978, you didn't hear a lot of this kind of stuff. I didn't know any, you know what I mean? I didn't have a clue about any of this stuff. You just didn't hear about something like that because it sounded like bullshit. How is a person or being or anything roll into a ball? And now we kind of know differently.
yeah, and of course, a lot of researchers. I mean, it's hard for them to wrap their minds around some of these things. Even Bud Hopkins, I remember hearing that someone mentioned about in one of the, where he had the support group meetings in his New York home or apartment, and I think something was mentioned about a poltergeist. He said that's not related to what we're talking about here. We don't need to talk about that sort of thing.
Okay. Okay,
And you know, and yet we see that yeah, those things do occur and they should be talked about, but um, we all
had a
have
lot of
our,
that. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
We had a lot of that in Chicago. We had a lot of it when we moved to Alabama. Slamming doors, banging on the walls, odd smells, people walking up and down the stairs. That was in East Acres, 1980, when we moved there. They had wooden stairs and stuff, and I mean, it's us. We are the only ones living there and stuff, and all kinds of activity going on upstairs, faces in the window and stuff.
hmm,
And again, I didn't connect any of that with alien type of activity. None of us really knew what was going on. Mom thought she was, is this place haunted? That was her joke.
did that kind of spooky stuff just happen at that one location or other locations too? Because
No, let's see. When we lived in Decatur on Fourth Avenue Southeast, that's when I told you like the three hideous beings came in single file up to me and stuff, and it blacked out. No, even in that apartment, it's a house that had two apartments. So you got a next door neighbor, and stuff, and it's still there. And oddly, they continue to work on that house. Like every time you go by, there's always some. They're always remodeling. There was banging cabinets, slamming doors. You could hear the toilet seat, kablam, slam and stuff. Um, that was also where we would sometimes, my sister and I would hide in the closet because it's like you just knew something scary was about to happen and you wanted to go hide and we didn't know where to go, so we would go hide in the closet. So it's, I had witness also. That's where I wrote in my journal and I got it on my channel. I was sitting there watching TV one time. I was home alone, and I started feeling this buzzy feeling in my head while I'm watching TV. And off to the left of me is a what I call the ghost baby, completely swaddled, dressed in black. It's probably not even 2 foot high. What it's materializing. In other words, it's coming into, this third dimension. I can see through it, but it's starting to get solid, and it's got glowing red eyes. And then I black out. Same place. I'm watching TV again, and right behind the TV, the TV was just sitting in front of the window, and I got the curtains there. Well, my attention keeps getting drawn over the TV, to the window, and I get up and look out and spread the curtains, and there is maybe a 3 foot tall type of being looking large headed, large eyes, but it's not gray. It had a unusual color to it. And I'm kind of shocked. I'm shocked because I don't know what I'm looking at. First, I thought I was looking at maybe a sick child. Uh, and it was dressed in some type of uniform up to its neck. And then right there, standing up, I black out. My favorite pastime, blacking out,
Right when it gets good.
Yeah, right when it gets good, man.
Yeah, well, uh, interesting. So, so you and your sister, you had kind of this awareness when things were going to happen. Something was going to get weird, and you go to the closet to.
I think that came from our experiences in Chicago. 'Cause, again, the whole family was involved in Chicago and stuff, and so again, I don't have the right word for it, but it's like when all your nerves go on edge and like it's that flight or fight thing, that's that real scary feeling. It makes you real alert, real aware and stuff. So when we got those feelings, we both would panic and just try to run and hide because we felt like something was about to happen but didn't know what. So we wanted to hide, from it.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, she wouldn't talk about any. She would acknowledge it, especially the Chicago incident, but did not want to talk about it. In East Acres, well, we had bedrooms upstairs, wooden floors, wooden stairs and stuff. And she had been upstairs, use the bathroom and come out, and then she just screamed bloody murder. And the setup was when you come out of the bathroom, you go around the corner, stairwell's right here, but off to the right is one of the bedrooms. Door was open, windows, second floor. And she said there was a face in the window. And she just come flying downstairs and ran out of the house,
Uh,
out of the apartment. Uh, yeah, we had a lot of stuff going on there.
yeah, that was the beginning in Chicago there.
No, that was East Acres in Alabama
Oh,
after 1980. No, the Chicago incident. Of course, I think we lived in third and fourth floor, uh, where the hideous burnt up creature experiences was. Now we moved around Chicago, and I can't because I'm a kid. I don't remember addresses and stuff. I'd have to ask my older brother about that one. But there were several incidences at different apartments, different places in Chicago.
okay,
So whatever the phenomena was that was interacting with us in Chicago followed us to Alabama.
okay. That or you just happen to have that ability, that second sight or whatever you want to call it, where no matter where you went, you're going to have some kind of seeing things that maybe a
It
lot of people aren't
took me a
aware.
long, long time to understand that I was very sensitive uh, to whatever, and basically I pick up on some things most people don't. It's just that simple. There's nothing supernatural about that. It's just like an extra sensitivity or something to it. So whatever, yeah, I just happen to be, and my sister was too, extra sensitive to that phenomena.
Okay. I noticed you mentioned two things that happened: hearing a voice, a female voice, and then another awareness. You mentioned twice on the left side. Is there anything that seems to be uh, appears to you on certain sides or in certain areas that? Uh,
I wouldn't make, I don't think I would make that distinction or that difference. Like here in this house, man, I hear stuff all the time. I'm constantly seeing stuff skirting back and forth out of the corner of my eye. To me, like animals, little different type of animals coming in and out the kitchen. I told my wife, I said, I think the kitchen is a hub. It's a railway station, it's a train station for stuff coming and going. I had been talking to Greg, as a matter of fact, about we've been talking about Nordics, big tall Nordics and stuff. And I was sitting in this room, this computer we've been talking about, and I sit back and I catch some motion out of the corner of my eye, and I look, and I turn to look, and there's this 7 foot tall Nordic dude with a um, what do you want to call he's dressed up all the way up to his neck, and he's got kind of thin-ish white hair, combed back, high forehead, small feet, but I could see through him, and he didn't pay any attention to me whatsoever. He was on his way somewhere else. But it was it's what it's like it's the peripheral vision thing because most of the time when you look to see what you caught off your peripheral vision, it's not there. But if you're lucky, sometimes you can catch something, and that happened to be a moment where I caught the dude. I'm like, oh man. Yeah, I hear female voices in this house a lot. A lot of it's garbled. I cannot understand what's being said. Sometimes it sounds like the woman is yelling. And then even in the bedroom, one night I was abruptly awoken and felt like there was a presence in the room. This is around the time when I decided to start. I'm going to start sleeping with a nightlight on. There's this hideous scream, like a banshee, at the foot, coming from the foot of the bed. And so I start, elbowing Tina. Tina, do you hear this? You hear this? She's asleep. And so I jump out, I cut the light on, man. I'm thinking, I don't know what's going on here, but
Yeah. Huh. Um, I know in the past we've mentioned like this is something that's interested me that other people told about seeing like in your third eye like a blue star or light of some kind.
that has been going on with me since I was a child. When I got involved with Christianity and stuff and religion, I was very sincere, dedicated, devoted, and very sincere. And so I would pray really, really, really hard. And so very, 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 very often, almost every time, I would see what later I learned was like a blue star. To me, it was a point of light, uh, very, very tiny in the center, brilliant white light surrounded by blue, looked like a star you see in the skies and stuff in the heavens. And that went stay with me for a long, 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 long time. Whether I was praying or not, it started to get to where like I'm watching TV or something, and then boom, there's a blue star go all the way across the room. And then there were times it was a red star go all the way across the room. Often it would appear and then disappear. And here the thing is, sometimes I would get a tone in my ear, not all the time, and sometimes I would feel um, a vibration in my head, but not every time. Um, and that still happens to this day, on and off, not very often, but on and off. The blue star thing. When I got involved with Eckankar, that was the only explanation I ever read for the blue star, and they said it was the Dewey Retina stuff said it was a sign of the presence of the spiritual master, like whoever your spiritual master is, it was his calling card.
Well, I know as a teenager, I was trying to do follow instructions. Harold Sherman's books gave instructions on progressive relaxation. You work up to maybe an astral projection, leaving the body temporarily.
Mhm.
And the only thing that really happened was I became aware of this kind of like this blue light that would appear and disappear, like my field of vision, third eye, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I didn't think a whole lot about that till I found out there were other people, you know, were
Hmm.
seeing the same thing.
Hmm.
And I think some people was almost like a remote viewing thing. And then I was interviewing this scientist who worked with the Navy, and he was telling me of working with Uri Geller. And when he was working with Uri Geller, Geller and him did a telepathy experiment. And he said while he was with Geller, and Geller would send him an image, that the image would be surrounded in green light.
Mm.
And he went home afterwards and he got with his wife and they duplicated the experience. And again, the green light effect within his visual field. And and uh, he said by the next day it had worn off. But turned out too, I was reading this book about him and that experience, and it told of how the CIA called him, wanted to come in and question him about that. So it was interesting to them. So I wrote to Uri Geller and asked him about it. He said, yeah, a lot of times when doing the telepathy, there is that green image. And I thought it's interesting because blue, there's a book by a guy who spent years with doing Tibetan type work. And he went over to Tibet and did a lot of meditating. And he first met his master in this third eye with blue lights. And I and William Henry up here in Nashville, often on Ancient Aliens. He wrote about people seeing light. I thought, hmm, you know, here I thought it was just me,
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's the thing. You always think it's just you, and when you try to talk to somebody about it, they're like, I think you're batshit crazy.
but the thing was that there's
Sorry.
uh, this thing that operates on both blue and green. It's in our eyes. A lot of us aren't aware of it. Maybe people see auras have a but it's what like birds and such navigate by. It's it's this composition. We have it in our eyes, I think, and I'm trying to remember what it was called. If I wasn't trying, I would remember. I've been talking about this, and now when I'm talking to you about it, it's like, what was that word, that term? But birds and other maybe some fish have this, and we have. They've been identified in our own retina,
Yeah.
and some people do see things. Maybe they say auras, speculate. Well, maybe it's that thing that's pigmentation in our eyes. But
So when you say that now, are you like saying there's a medical or scientific explanation for that instead of a spiritual, supernatural? Is that what you mean?
well, maybe that there may be a scientific explanation for it. Um, I'm thinking, I'm toying with it, and why can't it be both spiritual and scientific?
Yeah.
uh,
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah.
yeah. Well, let's see. I'm looking at. Okay. Well, it looks like the warning I got a little while ago. I've only got about 2 minutes left.
Really?
We've covered a pretty good amount of ground here, uh,
Okay.
but well, uh, I
Well,
guess
well, yeah. I mean, keep in touch. If you got any more questions, shoot them at me, and then I'll write them down, shoot you an email if you want to do another part of this. I'm hoping to get with Chelsea and have you there to do some aggressive hypnosis to fill in the blanks. From the point I black out to the point I wake up, clearly something happened in between. I have no conscious memory of what happened,
yeah,
there. And so we'll get that set up. But if you think of anything before then, we'll do another one of these and give me a holler. And I have already sent off some questions to her, and she's written them down, and we're going to try to cover that when we do the hypnosis.
okay, sounds good. And yeah, keep in touch, and I plan to be down there to attend. Be present,
I
and
hope so.
and Joan says she'll come with me. It's going to be an early session.
All right. Well, she and my wife can sit around and girl talk.
All righty. All right. Well, thanks again, and
Thank you, brother.
you take care, Dan, and we'll stay in touch.
All
Uh,
right.
so
On to the next.
on to the next. Absolutely.
All right. See
We'll
you,
see
brother.
you later.
All
Thank
right.
you.
You too.
Let's find the